Guys, welcome to Black Scout Survival Late Night Live. Sorry, somebody's like freaking road racing out there. I don't know if you can hear, the rednecks go wild at night. Anyway, a lot of people say, the cowards and the far back in the stands, they said, man, you've been warning about collapse for like 10 years and nothing ever happened. Nothing? Then explain all of this. A president was shot on a stage and we still don't know who ordered it. Nothing about it. The Epstein client list is gone. The file's destroyed. Not a single elite has been arrested. Kids are being groomed online while the government censors you for speaking truth. The border has been wide open. We have Chinese operatives within the country and no one's even still trying to get those out. Your tracked, your tags are monitored like livestock. And now the FBI is rounding up child predators while protecting the powerful ones. We're going to talk about all this today, man. And if you still think nothing happened, you haven't been paying attention. I get frustrated with that because they're like a frog in the water's boiling. You hadn't figured out yet, man. So about COVID. It wasn't just a pandemic. It was a global obedience drill. Wear the mask. Even though it don't work, shut your business down while Walmart, Amazon, all of them thrive. Get jabbed or get fired. Get kicked out of the military. You can't bury your dad. You can't visit your dying grandma. Churches closed, but strip clubs were still open. Nurses, Marines, cops purged for refusing the shot. Meanwhile, TikTok nurses danced on the corpses. And now they're saying, oops, maybe we went too far. But nothing's happened. No, they went exactly as far as we let them go. Where the cowards in the back row back there let them go. Nothing's happened. You have children that's under digital attack. While they were muzzling you, they were reprogramming the kids. TikTok is a Chinese psychological warfare, feeding poison to the youth and patriotism to theirs. And you think that's a lie. Their algorithms are different than ours. So they'll have dudes tucking their nuts, twerking, showing to your kids. Meanwhile, the Chinese kids don't see that, but yours does. Instagram is nothing more than a body dysmorphia machine. Go look on that, male or female. You're going to get discouraged. YouTube pushes soft grooming and ideology through kid-friendly content. Meanwhile, deplatforming people talking about anything else. Discord, Reddit, it's all full of predators, politics, and re-education, leftist politics. Your kid doesn't need a teacher to program them. Their phone is the indoctrinator. And if you aren't raising them, the machine is. Okay? So you look at freedom of speech. I've been talking about that, man. Freedom of speech has not came back. There hadn't been no executive order about free speech because it doesn't really do anything. Trump wrote an executive order the first time about platforms giving free speech or whatever. Didn't stop them. Matter of fact, they went full blown, kicked him off the platforms. But hey, at least True Social's up. There's like maybe 10 people on there. I go on there and check it sometimes. It's not even worth opening the app. Even to keep the app on there to take up your memory, to be honest. Freedom of speech, man, died in silence. Meme creator Douglas Mackey, and I just talked about memes the other day, 7 months in prison. 7 months in prison. Parents at school board meetings, federal watch list. Pro-lifers were raided at gunpoint. January 6th defendants were detained and definitely denied due process, but nothing's happened. Trump was shot, indicted, and demonized daily. Elon Musk threatened by the government. They were threatening that dude for restoring a straight of free speech. This isn't about law and order. It's about control and fear. Say the wrong thing, and you're next. You'll have an MRAP driving through your freaking house. And people say nothing's happened. Donald Trump was shot on stage in front of the entire country. Were they supposed to be there that day? Nah, they weren't supposed to be filmed. They don't. And some small rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. CNN was there doing a live show. Not suspicious at all. And what did they say though? What did they say? He was asking for it. That's what the media said. We had more media coverage of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock than the presidential assassination attempt. Where's the investigation? Where's the parents hadn't been brought in? Where's any other footage now? Dead. Nowhere, because the machine doesn't care. As long as you're in the way, they're going to move your ass out of it. So to my critics, nothing's happened. Let's talk about the Epstein files, the smoking gun of elite corruption. For years, we were told, be patient, man. The client list is coming. Justice is coming now. The GOP chairman said this today. He admits the files may have been destroyed. I'm going to play the clip real quick.
James has the Epstein files because I don't think the Department of Justice has them, or at least the Attorney General does not have them, or she would have turned them over. The president ordered them released. The Attorney General ordered them released. We all know they have not been released. And one of my biggest fears that I had, and I expressed this with Kash Patel and a lot of people, Stephen Miller, and a lot of people going into the new administration. I'm like, I hope they're not shredding documents right now. This was a few weeks before the transition. I said, I hope they're not shredding.
Of course they did. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for trafficking no one. She's in prison for tracking no client lists, no arrests, no prosecutions. The most well-connected pedo ring in modern history erased. And the silence is bipartisan. Even now under Trump, nothing's surfaced yet. Alex Jones and James O'Keefe say insiders are pointing fingers at Pam Bondi, alleging that she helped suppress the information, right? Whether that's true or not, the fact that nobody's talking tells you everything. And check this. Remember this?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing.
Donald Trump has talked about the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Today she was asked about James Comer talking about the files being destroyed. Listen to what she has to say.
Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. We still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI. Yeah, the FBI, they're reviewing. There are tens of.
So she's sitting here saying there's tens of thousands. They're reviewing them, but.
And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
She laughed about it. Bring these people to justice, man. I don't know why it's taking so long. Like, the thing is that I would have focused all my attention on that. Look, I get MS-13, all that stuff. You can be doing multiple things at the same time, right? We're a big organization. We don't only have to focus on one thing. We can focus on a magnitude of things. We're paying billions of dollars in salaries to government employees. They can be working on all this at the same time, and people are tired of it. You said they were sitting on your desk 2 months ago, and it was going to be released on that Friday. Never has. Now, FBI Director Kash Patel just announced 205 child predator arrests in 1 week. That's amazing. That's justice. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing. It's justice. Listen to him.
Just take a moment to emphasize the priority of this Department of Justice and this FBI. Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also.
So we can find 205 basement dwelling perverts in a week. Why haven't we found a single one of Epstein's billionaire clients in 5 years? Because this is not about justice, it's about protection. Epstein's files weren't lost. They were deleted on purpose by people who knew the names, because those names were their friends. We can also probably say that the country being involved with it. You know, there's been I've done tons of video about this being a whole Mossad honeypot operation. The other thing is that if you notice, most politicians on both sides of the aisle are more Israel first than America first, to be honest, from what I've seen. And then let's talk about the theft in broad daylight. Rent went up 30%, groceries up 40%, credit card debt through the roof, middle class squeezed to death, small businesses have been gutted, digital currency is on the horizon. A lot of people think that's something good. Man, they can control you completely then. There will be no paying cash under the table. And while you're broke, a shell company tied to 3 U.S. senators, here we go. Look at that. 3 U.S. senators just got $500 million in Ukraine war contracts. Corruption is no longer a hidden game. It is policy. And if you can't call it out, or if you call it out, they call you an extremist. You're wearing a tinfoil hat, or you're just a clickbait artist. We are not united as Americans. White people are demonized, straight men are dangerous, Christians are extremists, and patriots are terrorists. The media doesn't lie, they divide. They want you fighting your neighbor so you don't notice the elite robbing you blind, and whether that goes on both sides of the party aisle. The military was dismantled, and I think Pete Hegseth is doing a great job at what he's doing. Understand, though, that Pete Hegseth is appointed. He's a cabinet member. So the things that he's making happen can be undone as soon as the next guy comes in. If it's a Democrat, it's going to be undone. So things like jab mandates that purged the warriors, the drag shows that were funded by the Navy and various Army bases that were happening on base with children invited, DEI over discipline, and people actually working hard, obese soldiers in uniform, right? And again, Pete Hegseth is doing a great job. He's out there training with troops. I like what he's doing. However, everything he's doing is not written in stone because nothing's being passed by Congress. Okay. I think a lot of Americans don't understand this, because every time I talk to people, they're like, they're fixing this. This is only a temporary fix. It's called a Band-Aid. It's called a Band-Aid, because unless legislation's passed, it is not going to be permanent. And the Republicans are stalemating Congress to not really do anything. And meanwhile, Russia, China, man, they're training killers. We've been training sensitivity. Our enemies are building armies. They've been building safe spaces, spent years building. You think we can recover from that this quickly? Trust me, there's coups going on constantly in the military against Pete Hegseth. I see almost daily commanding officers at various bases being sat down, removed, because they're going against what Pete Hegseth wants. And then the Chinese operatives still here. I see Trinde Arawa and MS-13 being rounded up, but no Chinese operatives who are legally binded by their country's citizenship to conduct espionage. That is not a theory, a conspiracy theory. That is a fact. It's also a fact that China owns American farmland right next to military bases, but nothing's happening, man. Spy balloons drift across the U.S. They're still here. The drones, Chinese police stations, New York City, L.A., still open. The drone swarms, not explained. And military-aged Chinese males are loose within the country. It wasn't immigration, man. It was an invasion. I'm glad to get the gangbangers out. I'm glad to. However, These sleeper cells, let's get rid of them, maybe make them priority. We have the World Economic pushing brainwave scanners. I just talked about that this week. DARPA's engineering cognitive warfare. AI filters every word you say. Welcome to YouTube. It does that. Neuralink, smart cities, CBDCs. You're being trained to think like a slave in the digital plantation. You don't need to be chipped. You already are. We already are. And when they say nothing happened, when the guy in the back, the cowards, nothing's happened, man. You said in the video something. Things have been going on. Trump was shot. Epstein files were destroyed. Child predators were arrested, but the elites were protected. The economy has been rigged. The family has been erased. The border was wide open, and we have Chinese operatives and other foreign country terrorists here, right? Middle Eastern terrorists here. And the country was sold off piece by piece. Meanwhile, Americans were focused on social media. Everything has happened. You just weren't supposed to notice. That was the play. That's when you say nothing happened, it's because you were fooled. Nothing has happened. Nothing's happened because that's what they wanted you to think. Nothing's happened. Your freedoms were taken. The Constitution was burned. The First Amendment doesn't exist. The Second Amendment is barely there. You got permission to own a gun. It's not a right, it's a permission, because if it's a right, they can't take it away. But hopefully now you see it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Speak out, lead others, because if we don't prepare now, because this is only a Band-Aid, you're not going to get another shot. It's going to be too late. Stay ready, guys. Stay loud. And because the war's here and the system wants you disarmed, they want you divided by race, socioeconomic, and all that other bullshit. They want you distracted, but not us. We stay strapped. We stay sovereign. With that, remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, always stay dangerous, because nobody's coming to save you. Take care.